What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Igni. Thank you all so much for stopping by. So today I'm bringing you a rather depressing video. It looks like our favorite developers have went on ahead once again and nerfed jumping for the probably millionth time in the last few years. But this time it's a little bit different than the last times, and I believe this might actually be one of the final nails in the coffin that we needed for jumping to be really less desirable than sleeping. And if you guys have not watched Logic Bank's video on this, he goes over in detail why you should probably just make a sleeper account if you're making a new account and you want the best start possible. Jumping just isn't it. And that was before this new set of nerfs ended up happening, and now it's 10 times worse. There's such a small amount of things that you can actually accomplish on a jump account. It's just ridiculous. So this here is a farm account I created. Basically, when I do my jump projects, I always create my farm after I've scouted the map. It's kind of like an incentive to do that. So this is the jump account, the jump farm that I'm going to use with my main jumper. And I decided I was going to just start it and start going around and doing my thing. So I'm City Hall 7, as you can see here. So I'm starting to do all my buildings, but you'll notice there's 2 buildings missing from my city. And if you can tell which 2 they are, kudos to you. But if you can't, it's right here. If you go to buildings, all the way to the shop, City Hall 8 for the shop. And what's worse than that, courier station. Well, I don't know what the hell that was, but courier station way over here, City Hall 8. And if you guys didn't see, probably because I wasn't recording at the time, if you go here into your daily quests, this doesn't unlock now until City Hall 7. So if you don't rush at the beginning to get City Hall 7, which you really shouldn't do on a jumper to begin with, then you're probably going to miss the first day of these rewards anyway, because you don't even see this until City Hall 7. And all these quests in here, like your daily, all these quests, they're also hidden from you until you get to like City Hall 4 or something like that. But this is really bad. When you first started jumping, and this was many years ago at like the peak of jumping, you would start in like an old kingdom. You would scout the whole map. You would get past glory events and all that good stuff. Then you'd jump to a Lohar kingdom. Then you'd jump to a new kingdom. You'd have 2 chances to jump. It was such an incredible and like rewarding experience back then. And over time, they slowly reduced it to the point where it is now. All you can really do on this account, so this is basically where it's at, right? All you can do is train troops, spend AP, and do your daily quests. Maybe you can claim the rewards on the side here and stuff like that, but that's not really that relevant anymore. You can scout the map, stuff like that, but as in terms of actual speed up value that you're gaining, it's almost nothing. It's almost not even worth doing this project type of process anymore. And what's funny is because they changed it in this kingdom. This is a brand new kingdom. I think it's 6, yeah, it's in the 660. So it's the brand new kingdom, and they made these changes, but my jumper started just barely before this patch came out. So I still have the courier station in the shop in my city, in my other account, City Hall 7, but on this one, they're locked out. So the funny thing is, if you look at these changes, you'd ask yourself, well, who exactly would have asked for this? Who would have wanted this? Who thought this was a good idea? Who was complaining that the courier station and the shop were hidden behind some type of City Hall 4 and 5 lock? You know, who was complaining that they showed up too early? Nobody. You have to ask yourself who's actually affected by a change like this. And really, there's only 2 demographics of people that are City Hall 7. One are new players that are working towards City Hall 8, which they're going to get to City Hall 8 very fast because the game gives you enough speed ups for City Hall 8 within the first, 20 minutes of a kingdom. And the other group are the jumpers. This type of change only affects jumpers as a whole, because anybody else can go to 8 and get access to these 2 buildings, right? So this is something where they have directly targeted the jumping community again. And it's almost as if, like, every time they make these types of changes, they're only focusing on removing jumping as a strategy. And I mean, not to give them ideas, but there's other ways to nerf jumping too. And I don't think that they're going to stray away from ideas like this. They can remove the amount of troops that you're allowed to jump with, because that's what they did. That's what they did with resources. Eventually, like before, you can have whatever you wanted, but then they made a cap and you had to delete all your resources before you were able to go. They can limit your troops to your hospital capacity the same way they did with resources to your storehouse capacity. They can reduce the amount of these quests over here that you can do. They can change the daily quests to be City Hall 8. Whatever they do, they know all they have to do is limit what a City Hall 7 account can do, and jumping gets removed, which is why sleeping is so prevalent now and why I believe sleeping is much, much better. like, I don't see a benefit to jumping anymore. You can train troops, sure you can go into a new kingdom with a good amount of power, but at the end of the day, if you're a player, a free-to-play player, or a low spender that really wants to benefit your account and make yourself as powerful as possible with the amount of effort you put in, jumping just isn't it anymore. If you think about sleeping, not only are you getting both of your building queues, plus your research queue, plus your training queues, plus all of the events that happen in the kingdom that you can have access to, now the courier station and the shop, there's really no reason to jump anymore. The process itself is detrimental to you as a player almost. And now that you can't get the shop and you can't get those resources, you can't get the action points, you can't get the stars, the speed ups, the equipment pieces, the chests, the blueprints, anything like that. You can't get the speed ups from the courier station, the boosters, nothing there. Everything is completely locked out for you. I really don't see the benefit of jumping anymore. It's like you're wasting your time because you would have like exponential gains on a sleep account without a doubt. So from at this point, I mean, jumping still gives you a benefit. It still gives you a small advantage over people that don't do it, but the time that you invest in jumping would be much, much better used doing something else like sleeping. Or honestly, even just not even jumping to begin with, just starting a brand new account and just pushing and being efficient. So anyway, I'm sorry to bring you guys the bad news, but Lilith does not like jumping. They've created a very, very toxic environment for new players, and it's just the way it is. They want their spenders to be emphasized. They want people that spend money to be much more powerful than you. They don't want an account like mine that goes into a new kingdom at 600,000 power. They don't want that. They want new players to feel weak and useless so that when they look at a spender that's at 1,000,000 power, they say, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then they start spending. They don't want to give them an option to reach that level of power without spending money. And that's exactly why they're reducing jumping. It's not that they're reducing jumping or removing jumping because it's unfair or because it's anything. They don't care about fairness. This is a company that monetized everything in the game, right? There's not a single thing in this game that you can't buy with money, right? They don't care about fairness. They don't care about a new player experience. They don't care about any of that. All they care about is making the beginning of the game as hard and toxic as possible for new players so that they're incentivized to spend money. And that's really what it all boils down to. That's the company that runs the game that we're playing. That's the company that runs the game that we're in love with. It's the way it is. It's unfortunate, it's sad, but jumping is definitely on a decline and it will continue getting worse. Though they realize that every kingdom is a jumping community. Every single kingdom is run by jumpers. They know that. They know that they need to continue removing things from a jumper's benefit list in order to stop people from doing it. And eventually then, I don't know, maybe people will start sleeping more. Maybe people will just stop jumping altogether and people will just be more efficient and try to start new accounts without it. But I genuinely don't know. All I know right now is from what I've seen, what I'm able to access in this kingdom here on my farm account, without the courier station in the shop, there's just, I can't see why anybody would do a jump account over a sleeper account anymore. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news for you guys. I really appreciate you stopping by and watching the video. If you watched it to this point, know that I appreciate you a lot, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.